Okay, so when I'm talking about creativity, what I'm really talking about is, I suppose, change or innovation or just doing something a little bit differently. So before you can do that, you really need to think a little bit about your organisation. It's really, really hard for you to implement any change if you don't have a diverse organisation. When you're looking to change behaviour, you've really got to have other people involved in that process. And then the third one is a crucial one. It's easy to come up with ideas on how to change, but the success is choosing the right ones. So if you've got those first three things, then you can start to think about how you can make your events more creative and more innovative. This is the little journey I'm going to take you on. Now, I could spend 2 days taking you through this journey. We've got about 27 minutes. So that means a lot on me, but also a lot on you. So when you're thinking about what we're covering today, with any creative process, there's some preparation. You've got incubation, insight, evaluation, and then elaboration. So we're going to cover all of this, actually not in the 27 minutes, but in the 90 minutes we have with you. Sound like a challenge? Great. So think about this. You'll be referring to it. You can refer back to it as we move through. Okay. So my first question to you is, why should we innovate within events? Can you see that slide? Does anyone know what that is? Pardon? It's the Crystal Palace. It's the world's first exhibition. It's a great exhibition. It was held in Hyde Park in London, in the Crystal Palace, in 1851. Now just imagine being a delegate or a visitor to this exhibition in Victorian times. Just imagine walking into this space, the sight, the smells, the sounds, as this whole new world opened up in front of you. This was the first exhibition. What's happened? Now, this was actually a few years ago now, but I know if I went to another exhibition, it wouldn't be difficult to find a similar picture. So what's that? 160 years of innovation has taken us from this to that. And this was actually at an industry event. Now, this is one of those speed dating events, where you get 10 or 15 minutes with each venue. This is where you were supposed to meet them. Now, I've never been strip searched at an airport, but I'd imagine that's the type of blocks you go into. Attendees were supposed to spend little chunks of 15 minutes in this environment. But how about the venues? They were supposed to spend the whole day in there. Now, what type of environment are you creating as an event organizer when you look at an environment like that? Now, that's an event that says to me, we need to innovate within exhibitions. Do we all agree? Yeah. Brilliant. Is it just exhibitions? Okay, this is a picture of a conference. We're going to play a little game. Is this from 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010? Was it last week? You can't tell, can you? If it was 1980, you wouldn't know. What about gala dinners? 1980, 1990, 1970? These products look so similar the whole time they've been in existence. Exhibition? But that's why we need to innovate. If we look at the main products that we've got for our members, they look exactly the same. Now think of a mobile phone and think of the differences from 80s, 90s, 2000 to what you've got now. Completely changed. We have to innovate. We have to keep up with the changes in the market. Now, I think the reason that we haven't kept up and we haven't innovated is because we see our events like this. Now, I know there's a lot of events organisers in the room. I still organise events. I was organising events for nearly 15 years before I started doing consultancy. And what used to happen was, as soon as your event finished, what did you have to move on to? Your next event. And then what happens when that finishes? Now, that's an ideal scenario because we know, as most organisers, it's more like juggling. You've got 10 events going on at once. But our organisations, when we're in senior positions, and ourselves when we're event managers, we start to see our events like products. And I really like to look at events as services. And I want you to kind of take a step back and think, if I was producing something, this is how I would do it, how we've always done it. But if I'm designing something, then that's a very different process. And I hope to give you some good case studies and examples of how to do that. So I think we've got to look at our events as designers rather than producers. Now, that's not just talking about what I would like to do as an event organizer, but what's the point of innovating? Well, a lot of research has said that companies who have a reputation for innovating can charge more money. And that's a big message for an event organizer to take to their boss. If you're seen as innovating, you can charge more money and you can make a higher revenue. Now, that's pretty exciting in terms of making changes and why you would do it. So this is what I'd like you to think about as we move forward. You're not just making changes for the sake of it because you're a bit bored. This will have a fundamental impact on your organization. Does that make sense so far? Great. Now, when I talk about changes, there's so many things we can look at. The first thing I'd like to get you to concentrate on as we move forward is this idea that an event has to engage all of the senses. Too often our events are about some bloke standing up, middle-aged, talking to an environment. Sound familiar? Conferences are about people walking up to a stand and having a conversation. We really need to start thinking about our events in terms of how we make them much more engaging and how do we engage those 5 senses. Now, to do that, you have to have an understanding of behavioural change. It's really easy to come up with ideas, but implementing them and allowing them to stick is much, much more difficult. And this is what I'm going to try and support you with today. Okay? So I hope that you're with me on this journey in terms of we want to do something different. We want to be a little bit more creative and a bit more innovative because we think it's going to impact our organisation. And as an event organiser, I'm probably going to have more fun organising these types of events.